Okay, over the last 2 years, I would say 3 years for a couple of the pieces, but most of them are over the last year. So,
This is a little bit, I went to your website, it's a little bit different direction than the stuff I saw there.
oh yeah, yeah. It depends on what I'm doing. This is above and below the horizon line, and then it's also looking at vertical water. I'm originally from Niagara Falls, New York, and so I'm mesmerized and forever connected to the falls, and water. Water is like a very healing, many things to me. I'm fascinated by it. So that's one thing. I started doing a lot of collage work. I was a big fan of Romare Bearden, who's a collage artist, and I liked Joseph Cornell, who was did boxes, and so they're a nod to different people, but definitely my own stuff. And this entire show was built on recycled, repurposed things like my barn wood from my garage that we disassembled and then reassembled to make frames, old porch doors, and then it had paintings on top. I like things that are used again for a different purpose and reinvention.
Tell us a little bit of how you, what your relationship is with the library here.
Well, I applied. Anyone can apply here. And so I applied and I got accepted. I had a show 4 years ago on just food.
Tell us a little bit about your relationship with the Wellesley Art Society.
I just joined this year. Our entire studio, all 8 people are part of that. And they said, why don't you join that? It's fun. And they find, they post places that are open for shows.
I think I see a few familiar faces from among your guests.
Yeah, they're here. A couple of my studio mates are here. It's new for me. I always work alone. Yeah, I work alone. I had to step back my art making for a while, and now I'm back to it. I have stage 4 cancer, and I've been through treatment all year, but I've also kept my studio, and
I'll let you get back to your guests now, and we'll pick this up sometime at your studio, perhaps.
I would love to. Thank you. I've been making, building, painting. I described myself for a long time as a painter, but I think I'm a painter, storyteller, builder. I don't know how to say it, so I'll call myself a creative.
What did you do professionally?
I was an art teacher.
Oh, okay.
And I worked for a little while as an art therapist. I've been in the arts all my life.
Where did you teach?
I taught at a preschool. I was a preschool art teacher for 18 years. I taught at the New Art Center in Newton. I taught privately, and then we ran an after-school program with my friend Patty Simon. And let's see, that was an art program which we did an immersive thing. So for example, we would do Chinese art, and we'd put kids in rows of chairs and give them peanuts like they're on an airplane, play Chinese music. They get off the airplane. This is when they're young. Mm-hmm. They're probably in second grade, kindergarten through second grade. And then we would build the Great Wall of China out of 80 pizza boxes, outside, and then take pictures from the roof of them, and talk about scale and art. And then we do another culture, and we do Mexico, and we paint bright colors and tropical things, and it was great. It was great. We would go around the world and do different countries, so that was a lot of fun.
Do you feel that you learn from teaching and learn from your students?
Oh yeah. I mean, I certainly don't have one informative thought of my own. I have my thoughts, and then they merge, and I learn a lot from talking to people, and I add and subtract to what I think, my views on things, just like my paintings. I love stories. I love people's stories.
Mm-hmm. Do you find yourself often doing a series on one subject? Like you get sort of locked into it for a while?
Yeah, I do. For a while I did food, and I went to Grand Central Station, the train station. So that was a series. Some of those paintings came out of that. I was on Artist for Wildlife Conservation, and I did a lot. Every year I would do endangered species and then put them in for an auction and sell them and then raise money that way. This painting here, it's very busy. But what it is, it represents 1 year of Zoom meetings during COVID. Mm-hmm. So I started to draw everybody I was on Zoom meetings. It was like the Hollywood squares.
Yeah.
And, change them, and the angst that they had in their face, like, oh, we can't go outside. And I had a pregnant friend, and I had another friend that was cooking all the time, and I have one that was drinking all the time. And so I just put them all into one painting. And then the idea of cancer and people going through all their stuff, I put that in there. It's just a lot of stories.
Now, has your cancer affected your artwork?
Basically, I'm living with cancer, not dying from it yet. Things right now, I'm into doing memoirs, books, pieces for people. Mm-hmm. So they give me a lot of their stuff. I photograph it like you're doing in mine, and then I put together a one-of-a-kind piece for their families. So I'm very interested in doing that commission-wise. So.
Yeah, I can see how that would influence you into doing something like that.
It's a lot of fun. It is, and it also is a beautiful way to take a family's meaningful things and put it together like a legacy piece. So, yeah.
Your artwork it has a sort of sense of fun to it. It's kind of playful, and the relief quality of it, and the way you're putting different random things together. Mm-hmm. How did you come up with that? You're always doing it that way?
I think I did it more on a 2D flat, and then I decided to just collect things and build. So sometimes I build out of the materials. I have a theme in my mind. Like this is a material table. It's metal. I might make a base of marble. I have a lot of wood. Many of my paintings are wood with things on them. That gold here is an old tray that I ripped up and put together.
So you often find yourself inspired by objects.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And sometimes the objects become humanized to me. I know that sounds weird, but like my fish, a lot of my fish will have extra big empathic eyes. Mm-hmm. And I don't realize I'm doing it until I look at it for a while and I think, oh, there it is again.
So you're still exploring water-themed art?
I have always had water in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's because I grew up near Niagara Falls.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm not like a poster child for Niagara Falls. I think I've always been totally interested in the shiny magazine look. Did I talk to you about this before?
I don't think so.
Okay, my mom, I was born in 1954. So in the 60s, our house had a couple of magazines that would come every month, or they would buy, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And it was Look Magazine, Life Magazine, Time Magazine. And I loved the glossy flat look. I remember reading it page to page. I remember seeing the color on it and the type, and I was overwhelmed. I was just imprinted with it. I don't know what it was about it. And Hollywood was big then. Movies were big then. We would go to the movies on Saturday. and I would think that's bigger than life. I like that idea. So when I became a teenager, I went right into album covers. The same thing. I loved all the placement of it, the bright colors, the liner notes. I married a jazz musician. I mean, it's like, it makes sense to me. But I think that early imprint of stuff influences me. I take a lot of, where did I put it? I don't know where it is right now. I take a lot of things and I color Xerox them and then build them together and then paint over them. And these are paintings that I did, and then I just keep building them. So, here. And then another version of them might make them into laminated placemats. So for my fisher friends.
Very nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's that kind of thing.
Especially if you have a fish dinner.
Oh yeah. And it's funny because there's a lot of boating people that like stuff like that, and I'll give them that as a,
Very nice. Do you sell prints and stuff too?
Yeah.
Great.
Anything at the show can be a print. It could be a placemat. I just don't. The business part of it. It's hard to have a show like that because people want to come in and they want you to navigate it and walk you through the linearness of how. And I didn't know how that show was going to go. It's organic for me. Casey and I, my husband, put it down on the floor and looked at it and moved it around for 5 hours till we found the right feeling of that show.
Do they let you put up the show yourself, or does somebody there do it, or do you do it together?
No, they let us put it up.
Oh, okay, great.
But you have to hang it. You can't put any signage on the walls. You can't. It's hung on a system.
Okay.
And
well, they don't want 100 holes in the wall.
They don't want any holes in the wall. And so there's that. And then most people hang them straight across. So you look at them on the way to the library. But I hung them like this, so it's more salon style, and it's very interesting to watch people because they will stop and look at it and they'll think, what is that? And so I enjoy that part of it.
Do you spend much time thinking about selling and stuff and merch and stuff like that, or is that just like secondary?
I stress over it because a lot of people who buy my stuff are friends or friends of friends, and I want it to be a reasonable price, but I also want to pay my rent.
Right.
So I have to think about that, and I don't make it the first thing when I'm talking to somebody. If they are interested in a piece and they want to buy it, I'll give them my price. There was a couple of things at the show that were sold, and people went, they're sold. And I said, and do you like it? Yes. And I said, would you like me to make you a piece like that? Not exactly like that, but like that. I work on commission. I can make you, tell me what you want. I have a friend that's a rower, and if you want me to make you a boat on rowing, thing on rowing, I will. We're doing a group grant for the city of Framingham, and each person in their studios are submitting one piece, and then they'll show it in different venues from September, I think, or over the year, at different venues, and then auction it. And so I contacted, everybody's doing places and things, and I said, can I do a person? So what I'm trying to do is a picture of him, and then show the musical stuff all around him. So, and then what I would like to do is donate that picture and then do a large print of that, blow it up and give it to him, and he can have it. Because
very nice.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Everybody in here also belongs to the Wellesley Artist Society, which I didn't even know about till I came out here, and they're like, oh, they're great. I was like, okay.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good word of mouth.
Yeah.
Do you ever go out to antique shops or anything like that, or to collect and find? Oh, that's exciting thing. I love that.
That's how I get everything in here is from this roadside stuff. People throw out the greatest stuff. I call it curbside shopping.
I imagine you might be able to fill up the place with interesting little things you find.
I love salvage places. I love thrift stores, flea markets. Yeah, I do. But I particularly, a friend of mine gave me a drawer from her house. She just emptied it out in a bag and gave it to me and said, make something out of this. So I made this whole art piece about their family based on what was in the drawer. And she told me a couple of stories and like how they always fight for the couch and some of the people like the dog, some don't, and miniature golf stuff, and they had ticket stubs and Lego things, and so I would Xerox them and paint them and do all this stuff, and I sort of made it like a board game, and it was their life, and so I like to do that. That's a challenge, I really like to try to interview people, figure out who they are, get a sense of them, and then their colors and everything, then put it into some kind of piece.